Hello, everybody. How are you doing? We are Trans Gurus. We are here again. Another week has passed, and we had a fantastic week, I hope. And I hope you had a fantastic week. And we would like to talk today about what kind of changes we brought to the world. I mean, I'm sure many of us done a lot. So, Jimmy, you want to start?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so last week we spoke about staying positive in a challenging world, or staying positive. Yeah, staying positive in a world that's kind of upside down. And I think how I look at it, taken in medicine, when you get a cut on your body, you can put a topical antiseptic like bacitracin on your cut that works from the outside in, or you can take like an antibiotic penicillin and it works from the inside out. So I'm going to talk about the inside out, and that I guess how I would explain it would be, last week we were talking about how our aura is a energy field that everyone has one. You know, when we think of energy, we think of, a light bulb and all that, but your generator burns gas, but the human body burns calories. And so we're like our own generator, and we generate energy, and that energy, part of that energy is portrayed as our aura. And the energy field around a human can go an infinite distance, but for most people, 10 feet or so. But it does have our aura does have the ability to transcend all things. So our aura is a reflection of who we are. Like we spoke about last week, peace, love, positivity, purity, light, all these vibrations, these frequencies, these auras are very high. And negative energy, darkness, hate, these are lower vibrations, lower frequencies. And there's different channels, if you will. There's different layers of these conscious fields. And if the example I used was like, when there's a hurricane, the hurricane weather people send a hurricane hunter aircraft to the hurricane, but they fly above the hurricane, and they're able to take measurements below and then report back, the forecast and so on. Well, humans can kind of do that same thing. So if enough humans, if there's enough people engaged in a higher level of spirituality, where our collective auras, our collective energy fields are sufficient to raise the entire human civilization up out of the fray. And I guarantee you right now, somewhere in the Himalaya mountains, some Buddhist monk somewhere sitting on the top of one of those mountains, meditating, vibrating to the extent that they're levitating 5 feet off the ground. I see it in my mind. And all ships, all boats rise in high tide. So if enough people on the planet engage in a spiritual cleansing, a spiritual rebirth from that alone, and that's what I mean by the inside job. That's the penicillin working on the infected cut on your skin from the inside out. And one other thing I wanted to mention that is a really cool saying, and I saw this many years ago, and it's not in time, place, or circumstance, but in the person lies success. And that's a very powerful statement, where if the the resourcefulness of the human, our, we see what we look for, and if we look for problems or excuses, believe me, there's plenty of those out there. And with the challenges in the world, that also provides tremendous opportunity to discover new ways of doing things, and more efficient, more loving. Just because you did something some way for 20 years doesn't mean you have to do it that same way again tomorrow. So every day is a new opportunity to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. And I'm sure we can talk about more of this later, but that's my 30 seconds, Ella.
Thank you very much. Jimmy, I think you are a great person. You've got such a lot of insight, and I love your spirituality. Raji, you are a very spiritual person myself. I know that. So what is your change? Huh?
I said, who told you that?
Well, I've got some small ears.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing, Raji. When you first walked in the room several years ago at SunServe for our trans meeting, spiritual person doesn't need to announce that they're a spiritual person. It's, you feel that vibe, and I felt your vibe several years ago when you walked into that room.
Wow.
I still feel it every time I'm around you.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Well, that's good. Thank you.
Agree here.
Well, because you know what? It's like when I hear that, it affirms for me that I'm vibrating correctly. Because other people are letting me know. So for you all to say that to me, that's just an affirmation to me. It just affirms and it also inspires me. So, okay, I'm a type of person that I try to stay on a positive vibrational, I would say, frequency. But, I'm human and I have my days, and there's days where I feel like, oh my God, like it's almost like a heaviness or, I would say like a weight that's on me, and I feel it coming on. But what I do try to do is, like instead of complaining and saying, oh, everything is so negative, you turn on the news, it's negative. You go out into the street, there's negative people. Instead of focusing on that and talking about that, I try to find the positive things around me. And I also try to be the change in the world. Like, like if I want positivity, then I need to start doing positive things. And that thing of that saying, like attracts like, hopefully you attract the positivity back. I mean, in most cases it happens. I've seen it in my life. In many different circumstances. So yeah, just being the positive change in the world. And you know what? It doesn't have to be something great and gigantic. Like you can work on doing something like that, but like little by little. Even saying hello or nodding your head. I mean, for me, I'm a smiler. I smile a lot. Well, with these masks now, people don't see when you smile. Although sometimes you can tell in the eyes if someone's smiling. But what I'll do is, like, if someone's looking at me, I'll just give a nod. I'll give a nod, or maybe I'll wave or something. Because you, just by saying hello to somebody and giving them some positive vibes, you don't know what you may have done for that person. You know what I mean? You don't know what, just by saying hello and acknowledging that person could have been going through something horrific that day and, depressed and upset. But because you said hello, because you smiled, well, we don't have to wear the mask, or nod your head, that's being a positive force in the world and creating change in a positive way. And then, a helping hand. a helping hand, sometimes just holding the door for somebody. The little things. And then, of course, like I said, we can work on doing big things like starting a foundation, or, starting a movement, or writing that book like Ella's doing now, that third book, just those things. But, little by little, the small things then lead to big things. And I've seen it. So that's what I do. I try in my own way, sometimes big, sometimes small, sometimes medium, to be a positive force in the world. And oftentimes I attract it back. So, it's a win-win.
Yeah, it's always the thing, if you give to the world, you get things back. And I think this is a very, very big, and, foundation of our society and of our beings, Bonnie.
Yes, ma'am.
Bon.
You ready? Hey, how you doing, sweetie? So you ready for my 2 cents?
Oh, yes.
I kind of think of it a little bit different. I mean, the same way, but what I'm saying, picture a 5-gallon bucket and you put 1 drop of water, and when it goes in there, it's a ripple effect that goes across the top. Well, when we're talking about energy and putting out positive, Raji said opening a door for somebody, smiling at somebody, being kind to somebody. That 1 drop is not going to be a tidal wave, but if you just do a little bit constantly, and whether it's from smiling, open the door, being polite to somebody, taking time with somebody, when you're coming from a positive place, you walk into a room sometimes and everybody's real down and you're way up. 1 or 2 things are going to happen. Everybody's going to come up, or you're going to go down, or they're all going to leave, or you're going to leave. It's what I'm trying to say is it doesn't mix. Sometimes it may blend a little, but if your energy is positive and you can walk into a place and help raise other people's vibrations and help take people and put them in a better place. And I go back to perspective. It's all about perspective. You can be in a situation and say, I can't do good because this, and this, and this, and find all the negative. Or you can help that person to see positive. And if they can see positive in a negative situation, and you can help them see that, instantly you raise their vibrations. And if you can just do things like that on little increments, just like a drop in a 5-gallon bucket, it's just a little ripple. But if you can let your ripple carry, it can go a long ways. That's all.
Oh, Bonnie.
Bonnie, let me just mention something, Bonnie. That is excellent. That's an excellent visual about how someone that is cheerful can walk into a room full of uncheerful people and change the whole dynamic of that room. Well, if that principle applies to a room, it can apply to a planet.
Absolutely.
Good analogy, Bonnie.
Well, thank you.
Unfortunately, the other way around, it's like that too, because if someone is so negative, can bring many walls down,
But if you're secure in yourself, you're not going to allow
Correct.
people to
You have to have that shield.
Yes, so that's you have to be a centered person. I mean, if you don't have a foundation, the building's going to fall. But if you got a solid foundation and you go into a negative situation, you don't have to cave to it.
Absolutely.
Let's hear your opinion.
Well, Bonnie, I just was gonna say, I don't know if you all can hear me. Yeah, I was just gonna say that whole thing of like the pebble in the pond. You throw a little pebble in, but the ripples effect go way far. They go really far. So I love that. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
It's a very nice way to put it. Well, from my side, change has been my only constant. Change and it has been always positive. It has been always positive, and change is really something very, very, very good. I have to say that keeping a positive mind in life is the most important. But, you know, when you receive negativity, you have to turn it into positivity. Because unfortunately in this world, there's a hell of a lot of negative people. And unfortunately, there are many people which actually look at everything in a negative way. But you know, how many times in my professional life did I have complaints? And I turned the complaint into the opposite. I turned the complaint into something positive. Because when you have a complaint, you have to study it. And you have to do something good for your customer. In your life, it is exactly the same thing. Of course, you're always comparing things. It's normal. It's the basic thing. You compare it to what you know. In my life, I had many, many experiences because I've changed a lot. I'm an old person. I've seen many, many things. And not only many things, but many countries and many cultures. And that actually gave me a hell of a lot of my back from my culture and from my change. But you know, it is this richness which I was lucky enough to have that actually makes a hell of a lot of everything that I have and everything that I fight for. Yes, I do fight for change. I fight for nice things. I fight for positivity, and I fight to try to bring positivity to the world. This is what I try to bring as well in my books, because I think my books are positive pieces of work which are interesting for people, and you know, they should bring the positivity and the next steps for the people. For our community, I write a lot for our community. I think that we deserve to be respected and to be loved. I really do, and that is my message to the world.
You were talking about obstacles before. Obstacles are nothing more than little things to conquer, to go past, to, if you look at an obstacle and say, oh, I got an issue in front of me, I can't do that. Or you say, oh, this is pretty cool, I got something in front of me. How am I going to turn this into a positive? How am I going to overcome this obstacle? And it can be fun. And instead of it destroying you, you can stay in positive. And when you're doing that and you're with somebody and you're able to do that with them, or they see you do that, you can also raise their vibrations because they understand it's not a barrier. It's just like a person that jumps hurdles. It's just another hurdle to jump over.
Any closed door is there to be open, right?
Yes.
Obstacles are learning opportunities.
Yeah. Absolutely. So take your opportunities, learn, and you know, send the world your positive vibes that everything gets better. And I think that we really need this in these times where there is going to be big challenges and big changes. You know, go with the change. There is a very good book which is called Who Changed My Cheese? And it is a very, very nice book because life is nothing else than a constant change all the time. All the time.
Awesome.
So, Gurus, do you have any other things to tell?
Go ahead, Raj.
No. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to all the Buddhists or the monks in the Himalayas that are chanting right now. I love that. I love that.
And so if they can do it, if one human can do something, all humans can do something.
Of course.
And the human spirit has infinite capability. infinite. And if we only knew, if everyone knew, if all of us knew what our true capabilities are, it scared the daylights out of you. And
Absolutely.
as we evolve, we become more aware of these capabilities. And it takes time. This is something that I learned last night when I was in one of my classes, where time is the byproduct of consciousness unwrapping itself. So if the human existence, if we became aware of the infinite power of the universe in one moment, we would explode. So time is a median, is a construct, so that we're given dosages of the infinite wisdom of the divine universe in digestible dosages. And so that takes time. You know, look at the humans, how far we've come. Spirituality and we've come a long way, you know, from horse and buggy to the Rolls Royce, but we've also come even further in our development of our spirit and the collective consciousness of all humans. So time allows, and as time passes, all of us are becoming more and more and more aware of the infinite divine wisdom of the universe. And one other thing I wanted to mention, where the power of light is the ultimate power. The power of darkness does not compare to the power of divine light.